Namaskar, everyone, and welcome to the final day of our global conference for 2024. Today is a subject that absolutely sets my soul on fire. It is so exciting, and I cannot wait to explore it further with Guruji and with all of you. So with that, let's come into a space of centering. Let's place our feet firmly on the floor, and let's take a moment just to come into present moment, letting any stresses of the day fade away. Let us focus on the breath and observe the mind space. Breathing into the mind, breathing into the third eye to bring peace there. Let us find one another there, and let us acknowledge the greater field that we exist in. It's a field of light, a field that is held by the masters. And it is a field of oneness. Let us breathe into the heart space and observe how that gives us greater centeredness in this field. from connection to this field, consciousness in operation, let us center in a moment of gratitude. Gratitude for this moment. Gratitude for the gift of one another. Gratitude for the gift of these teachings. And gratitude to the Master who so willingly gives them to us. And from that same field, let's breathe into the belly, holding our own physical body in a space of love and a space of centeredness. Staying centered in that one field with a peaceful mind, a heart filled with gratitude, and a grounded physical aura. We'll open our session today with the sacred sound of Om. First, exhaling completely. Shh. Inhaling deeply. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, everyone. A warm welcome again to all of you, to those who are joining online, and of course to our beloved Guruji. Now, these days have been filled with absolute gems. We've been together now, this is our 7th day, and what an incredible journey of learning that we've been on. We started with exploring that idea that we're on a journey of consciousness evolution, a journey of transformation from darkness to light, and that we have all the tools that we need to help us in that transformation, to help us unfold our life purpose, which is to evolve to freedom. And that we can become beings of light when we bring light into ourself, as we start to operate from those energy centers, those chakras within us. That's how we bring light into our own self. We become light. And then we can use that light to light up whatever space we are in. And then in that same vein of sharing our light, how do we truly appreciate the physical environment that we live in and nature around us? And we were reminded that it has to start from within our own being. Can we appreciate our own relationship with the elements? Can we appreciate how we operate through our senses? Can we appreciate that we are divine beings, infinite consciousness that are in operation in a world around us? And then how do we take this knowledge, this wisdom that we're constantly uncovering it, and how do we share it with the world around us in a way that allows for transformation, that recognizes that everyone around us has that same potential? Can we teach from that same space of wisdom and knowledge? And can we do it in whichever spaces that we're in? What does that look like? And then yesterday, we explored the power to heal from the consciousness field, that we have a space of infinite well-being within us that we can tap into. And so the common thread that's come through all of that is that it begins with us, that we have an amount of power that's given to us through those tools of transformation. The journey begins with us. And so today we are going to be exploring the subject of social consciousness to make the world a better place. And it starts with that experience of one. The idea that essential consciousness in the play is one. It's a consciousness of oneness. Our senses tell us that there's a multiplicity of forms. It tells us that you're out there, I'm here, and that we are separate beings. But the goal is to center ourselves in that experience of one, to come into that hub of existence, that center from which we all come from and which holds us all. The goal of the play is to come into that idea of unity consciousness. The moment we come into unity consciousness, which is the challenge, we begin to see everything that I'm seeing externally, everything that I see outside of us, is only my very own self that is externalized. And it begins within. Coming into that unity consciousness is not a product of the senses. It has to come from the inside. The deeper that we go within, and we all know this, we know what we feel when we're in a deep space of meditation. We know what we feel when we're connected to flow and connected to source. The deeper that we go within, the more connected we feel to everything around us. So that journey has to be one of coming from within. And then how can we, once we're centered from that space, how can we open our consciousness up to the idea that there is unity in diversity? That although I see difference around me with my senses, you are all part of my being. Everything around me is part of my being. And that is what brings us the promise of a better world. The other, the outside, what we see as other, is none other than our very own self. Coming into one consciousness, one self, one world, that is social consciousness. That's where we see all things as divine. We see meaning and purpose in all of our relationships. And the more of us that can grow in that consciousness, the more of us who can see that oneness, that's what brings change in our world. Because we operate from that idea of shifting the world around us, bringing light into the world around us, because we see it as our very own self. So the secret, of course, is to stay centered in that field. How can we let go of the ego in our relationships? How can we feel not that we're two, not that we're one and another, but how can we feel like we all exist from that center of our being itself? That there's one in the universe, where we experience the universe of our being, and we experience each other from that space in our being. And now how do we use that awareness to develop social consciousness for a better world? How are we using this consciousness to influence the world around us? How do we channel our own growth and our own transformation and use it to uplift the spaces that we're in? And that's the goal of our conversation today. I remember being very young and Guruji telling us, make your life a blessing to the world. He ended every meditation and still does, may my life be a blessing to this world. And that has guided every action that I've taken in my life. It's guided the education that I took, the career path, the partner that I chose, the way I choose to raise my kids. This idea of may my life be a blessing to my world, may I shift around me, what's around me, by constantly focusing on my own transformation, by constantly observing myself and seeing where are my limitations and how can I be my best self? And with Guru's grace, how can I hold on to that relationship with the Master? How can I hold on to my relationship with these teachings and never lose them, such that I may become a living example of them? That inspiration has guided me my whole life, and I can only pray that it continues to come true. And I can only pray that we all do the same. Because you are my family, like I said in the beginning. And these days have been so precious exploring these teachings with you that I hope it's inspired greater growth and greater commitment to your own transformation and to bringing transformation into the spaces around you. So with that, and with my utmost gratitude, I hand you over to Guruji. Namaskar, everyone.
Thank you very much, Shreya, for that inspiration. And the session today is yours. It's yours. Remember, I think it was the second day when I told you, if something comes up inside, if you don't hold it down, speak. And the way I saw the speeches that went, they all came from within with a full of love and radiance and joy. I don't know if you could remember that day of the workshop. Everybody was in laughter, in joy, and in free expression. That shows oneself, one consciousness. Now, when I operate with you, that's what I'm operating with. You're just an extension of my own being. Every time I hold your hands or look at you or treat with you, it is from that awareness. And I know that awareness is what is the future of our society. Because we are in an upward swing in the yugas. So we are moving towards sattva, but it's going to take hundreds of years to go there. But never mind, what is beautiful about being in a dark yuga is that we can completely hold the light within us. Not everybody will catch it because the yuga is dark, but some of us will. And those of us in the blue star, I see that resonates with you. One consciousness, one world, one family. And I'm happy to see that. So this day is not mine, but because I am already there. But my joy is seeing you rise to the occasion and express that same consciousness and desire to unite with all of us in that one place. When we are there, we are compassionate towards the other. We feel for the other. Empathy comes in naturally. We want to reach out with a hand to help and to support. We smile with each other. We are kind to each other. We don't judge each other. We don't label each other. And that's where we are going. I know you will say it's work in progress. It's not so easy to do, but it is. And it becomes easy when we can go inside. That's why we create these sessions, so that you could be drawn into that oneness consciousness, the field. And you saw it in the meditation this morning. It became effortless when you all were in the one field. You didn't care to think about differences. It didn't matter who sat next to you or behind you. You were totally comfortable there in this feeling of oneness. It is the future of our world. And today, what I want you to do, because I want it to be your day, what comes up inside of you as you begin to listen to all of us speak? What comes up inside of you? And it should not come from your mind only. It should come from your heart. It should come from your deeper self inside. So if you can, whilst you're listening or thinking, come into that place of oneself, where you can feel that you're bigger than just the body. And then intuitively operate. Do I feel to say something? Is there something that I am moved to contribute? And then you go there and you put up your hand or you express yourself. And the wonder of that is that you will feel bigger when you do it. Not afterwards you will think, did I say the right thing? I wonder if I should have said something else. No. When you begin to say it, an energy moves you. And when you are finished, you feel, oh my God, you feel bigger, liberated, huge. That is the space I want you to be. You feel happy. You feel unburdened. This is something I needed to say, and it just came out of me in the light. If you can do that today, it makes this session a crowning one. But we'll start with a few contributions today, and that people have already expressed to me that they would like to present something. So I'll start with those first, right? So when I got up this morning, I got a video message from Radha, and she sent me what she wanted to say. So I would like to begin with Radha ji, and then I want to go to Joanna Hunt, whose husband David made the contribution. I want to go to her, because it's visions of the blue star and unity consciousness in a new world and where we can go. So we'll go. We also have Dr. Jenny Rouse here, who's into the field, and she's very much into the blue star. So I would like to hear her vision through the blue star, of course. That's the most powerful vehicle for us at the moment, for a better world. And we also have Madhavi on the panel, and we have also Shreya herself, as she spoke, because she's in the community work. So I would love those voices, and of course, all of you here who would want to make a contribution to this. Today, we're not going to have discussion groups in the afternoon. This is it. And I want you to operate from that one self, where your voice would be heard. And if you feel just like listening, that's fine too. You just listen from that space. So you can contribute however you wish. Or if you want to hold the speaker in your consciousness, or hold the rest in your consciousness and be happy with that, that's fine too. That's speaking in another way. So please feel free to express yourself, and let us have one consciousness in expression. Yeah. So Radhaji, the ball is in your court.
Namaskar, Guruji.
Namaskar.
The treasure of this week was the emphasis of our karmic stage, or it became clearer and clearer inside of me, and through a few gems people were saying, and you were saying, and I've seen it before, how perfect my stage, or this human edition was, but I saw it even more clear from birth to just now. I told you before that the healing journey of the soul and my body was to sing when I was quite little, and when I was in despair, I went to the bathroom, and then I started singing a Christian hymn, and then I got into this space of acceptance, and I see now that was the mantra already. It was, or I started to hum or to sing, and people thought that I was happy, and I wasn't happy at all.
But give us an idea. Give us an idea of where you're going, so we can have some bearing. We can have an understanding of where you're heading, because you're telling us your story through sound. But
Right.
Where are you heading? Where are you going to? What is the final destination of what you're going to say this morning?
What I told you, what I was called this morning when I woke up with this Om Sahana Vavatu, there was a deep pressure that I finally want to express through sound the journey I made into wholeness. And of course it is already happening and going, the singing, the band that we
So
have.
where are you now? Now you said you made a journey into wholeness, and you made it through sound. But where are you now in terms of consciousness of one in your expression? And even if you have used sound to get there, does it take you beyond sound? Into speaking is also sound, or the vibrations of the universe that you can feel within you that is not audio. Does it take you to a place like that, where you can feel that oneness consciousness that is at the spectrum of vibrations? Some of them might be audible, but the rest might be inaudible, but it's felt.
My witness.
So what I'm asking is, where are you now? Has sound taken you to beyond sound? Has it taken you to that expression of oneness consciousness that is not only sound, it is beyond sound as well? That when you meet someone, you lock your eyes in theirs, you begin to feel them. Or even whilst you're speaking now, you can feel the space as it listens to you. And that's another aspect of sound, because in sound you have silence as well. It is notes, but also silence is interspersed in there. So it's listening as well as speaking. So when I'm speaking, I'm also listening. So now that I listen to you speak to all of us, is there listening inside of you as well? That's another level of sound. The listening and the expansiveness of the space that you are developing. Because as people open up more and more to listen, the space starts to expand. And then what you are saying now becomes more in a relationship with what they want to hear, or how they expand to your hearing. So talk about that relationship that is happening in sound, in silence, and with the many.
Where the consciousness is now is in silence, but when I say it's silent, there's the nothingness, and from there there's the
So what I was asking you to say is that even though you're operating from an I, because you need an I to express your opinion, but you can feel the we holding you in that I.
what you describe is exactly the description of a concert, a mantra concert. When we are together,
But can you feel that even before the concert begins?
yeah,
That's what I'm
tuning.
asking you to do. So this is a concert now. Can you feel the joy of the audience in warming up to you? Can you work with that and be lifted by that? Because then the face starts to get brighter and the voice gets another lift.
Yeah, and that's what the calling this morning to come forth is still from this shyness of maybe from childhood when I wanted to speak up and I was put down.
But leave that, put it down. But stay
yeah,
with this,
yeah.
with this
That's
beauty
a
that I see.
desire.
Stay with this beauty that I see in your expression. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's inevitable. I cannot stop being this silence in expression through sound. And
Right, so are you going to use sound now to make us feel that expansive oneness? Please go ahead.
yeah, Madhava is tuning his guitar now.
Yeah.
But Madhava, yeah.
I'm here.
The miracle of what you are explaining is the shyness, because when when I start to sing, I can feel the whole audience. I can feel
Right.
in a satsang, I can feel every
That's what I want you
single
to
person. Yeah,
That's what I want you to
yeah.
That's what I want you to
Wat wil je? Welke wil je? Nee, die is goed.
That's what I want you to express now.
And this is in honor to the Sadguru I'm looking at on a screen but feeling inside. Yeah, it's verse 89 from the Nectar of Chanting. Ramanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Bandhvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamashadi Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Avatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Brahmanandam Paramasukaram Kevalam Jnanamurtim Bandhvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamashadi Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Avatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Satgurum Tam Namami.
Yeah, this is really a tribute to the Master. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam means the Guru lives in the bliss of Brahman, not in the mortal consciousness. And it's a giver of the greatest happiness. Dvamvatitam means beyond duality. The Guru is beyond duality, not judgmental, not caught in the polarity of judgment. And Brahmat Gagana Sadrusham, but our consciousness as vast as the universe, as the sky. Ekam Nityam Vimalam Machalam, the one, the steady, the stainless. Ekam Nityam Vimalam Machalam. Sarvati Sakshi Bhutam, the one who is a witness to the thoughts. Bhavatitam, the one who is beyond all the modifications of the mind, all the patterns of the mind. Triguna Rahitam, and beyond the trigunas. To that Guru I bow, it says. Yeah. Thank you for honoring that oneself. That transcendent Guru. Thank you, Madhava, for the strings of the guitar. Of course, you know that I feel it as much as the voice. Yeah, because your hands make the music. Yeah, so I deeply appreciate. And I remember the beautiful times we had in France at the Blue Star. Joyful memories. Thank you so much. And they both, they founded Anarupa, which is the beyond form expression, and of course wanting to sing in such a way to unite people and bring more blessings and light to the world. So thank you so much. I would like to go to let's go to Ioana, Ioana Hunt. She is from Romania, lives in England. Her husband is English. And she's very much involved in the Blue Star. She's been transcribing for me for years, 40 days, and very much into the philosophy of Blue Star and the practices of Blue Star. And her husband is really a beautiful, beautiful gentleman, as you would have seen the last time. It was a joy meeting him. And he visited the Blue Star. That has been on their mind. And the love for the Blue Star, the love for the future. And yeah, you present what you're going to present to us today, Ioana. Great to have you.
Namaskar, everyone. So I've put together a presentation, and it's called "How Green Is Our Heart." I have a couple of slides. If you can have them on the screen, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, namaskar everyone, my name is Ioana Raluca Hunt, and I'm a manager, teacher, and counselor. My presentation today is titled Blue Star and Vrindavan, How Green is Our Heart. It focuses on the concept of sustainability and how it applies to Blue Star as a non-profit organization. It aims to put together a framework that it is comprised of a series of templates that could measure its influence and potential impact on our world. The presentation is a follow-up from David, my husband, as we work together with him on the research. I have a number of slides, but I will not be reading all the text, as some of it's repeated from previous ones. I will be reading from my script instead, as time is of essence. Any questions or comments you might have can be discussed at the end. And I will be speaking slowly so everyone can understand, okay? Right, slide number 2. So if I were to ask you to consider sustainability for a second, what would that be for you? I'd like to invite you on a journey that is intended to be an experiment, an exploration, and work in progress, as the very idea of sustainability is still being defined for implementation and practice. As we progress, I'd like you to think of 3 key ideas that stayed with you as we focus on 3 questions: what, why, and how. We'll also be looking at 3 Trinidad government policies that Blue Star, especially through Vrindavan, is aligned to. Next slide, please. Remember the questions I asked you? The first one is what? What are the ESGs? When we talk about sustainability, you might think that we are focusing on environment only. In actual fact, sustainability involves the 3 pillars named ESGs, where E stands for environmental, S for social, and G for governance. And today, of course, we're talking about social consciousness. So the next question is why? Why are they important? They're important because they help us measure an organization's sustainability. And how are they important to us? For each of the pillars, think of how you, as a Blue Star member, and Blue Star as a whole, and especially through Vrindavan, are doing. Under the environmental standards, we have carbon emissions, impact of climate change, use of natural resources, pollution and waste, collaboration with staff and other non-profit organizations on environmental issues, helping beneficiaries prepare for climate impacts. Under the social standards, we have human capital, health, safety and well-being, training and development, relationship with beneficiaries, engagement with stakeholders and communities, data security. And the most surprising one, under governance, we have board diversity, executive pay, responsibility and accountability, audit, risk and internal controls, anti-corruption policies and procedures. This is not what we would normally think when we think about sustainability, but all of these things matter. Next slide, please. So what is this? This is a slide from David Hunt, my husband, who is a lecturer at the Real Estate University in UK, presented at a conference in Ghana, Africa. You can see highlighted the 3 stages of Vrindavan of eco-farming, eco-tourism, and eco-community. Why is this important? Because David's presentation had Vrindavan as a case study and its sustainable impact on the larger community. How is this important to us? David is not a member of Blue Star or someone who follows yoga principles. You might ask, did his wife make him research Vrindavan to get some extra points as a principal? Obviously. Yet he was accommodated by the organization to do his research as it was mutually beneficial. I believe it's also relevant to mention that the conference, even if it took place on the other side of the planet, on a different continent, was attended by a lecturer from the University of West Indies in Trinidad, who wrote country reports for the United Nations. You can imagine we really wanted Blue Star of Vrindavan to be truly and faithfully represented. Next slide, please. So what are the sustainability challenges Trinidad faces? And why use Vrindavan as a case study? Because it helps address a number of issues the country has. And how is it doing this? Helping manage a diverse society, helping climate problems of land inaccessibility, helping with land abandonment, helping with carbon offsetting, helping manage natural resources, helping improve food security and sustainability, helping address vulnerabilities to climate change. And this is not our opinion on the matter. This is what the research we've done clearly indicates, as I will illustrate. Next, we're going to look at 3 government policies we studied to show how a grassroots organization can impact an entire country and even the whole world. Next slide, please. Remember the questions? What? So this is the National Environmental Policy from 2018. And why? Why is it important? Because it looks at 6 priority areas to tackle climate issues. And how is it important to us? Have you, as a Blue Star member and the Blue Star as an organization, have contributed to improving the local environment, planning and human settlements, green architecture and infrastructure, national festival and events management? There's so many. How about addressing climate change and environmental and natural disasters to climate change mitigation and adaptation? What about your involvement in evolving a greener economy through economic transformation, or fostering an environmentally responsible society through the availability of and public access to information, communication, education, and public participation, research? Not to mention, have you participated in sustainably managing natural assets, from water resource to soil biodiversity and agriculture management? Last but not least, protecting environmental and human health through pollution control, namely water, air, noise, and light pollution, solid and hazardous waste. I bet you are involved in so many of these different aspects, but you never got the chance to consider them for what they are from a government policy perspective, because as some of you have told me, you were simply following Guruji's vision. Next slide, please. So we are expanding now, but staying with the questions. What is Vision 2030? It's the National Development Strategy for Trinidad. Why is it important? Because it outlines 5 key themes for development that are in strong alignment with the Sustainability Development Goals of the United Nations. And how is this relevant to us? Look at the things that we have been doing individually and collectively to align to the motto, many hearts, many voices, one vision. I will only read what is different from the previous policy that is in red. And that is theme 1, putting people first, nurturing our greatest asset. Goal 5, empowering the population to lead healthy lifestyles. And Goal 7, creating a modern, relevant national education and training system. How many speakers did we listen to during this conference who have been contributing so selflessly to the fulfillment of these 2 goals in Blue Star? Next slide, please. And now we have really expanded because we are a global United Nations in the Blue Star. Again, remember the questions, and that I will only read what is relevant in this policy, written in red. So what is it? This is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It's a report with a focus on increased utilization of cleaner energy efficient technologies. And here, I think solar technology has great potential for Trinidad and even the ashram in Vrindavan. And why is this important? Because it's a government policy that outlines the steps taken by the Trinidadian government to fight climate change by carbon offsetting. However, the government only has vague strategies for implementation as its focus is on the petrochemical industries and those affiliated. And most importantly, how is this relevant to us? Guruji said to me that we're not involved in carbon offsetting just yet. How often do we have the chance to tell Guruji that he's wrong? Perhaps we're not contributing to carbon offsetting in terms of energy consumption, but in terms of water and waste utilization particularly, that's already happening because water is preserved in its natural state and no waste is left behind in Vrindavan. This also involves pollution control in soil, water, and air, as well as noise and light pollution. Of course, more can be done about recycling, for example, but that's work in progress. As far as I can tell from the data, and this also comes from a course in sustainable financing I've been looking at, Blue Star is ahead of the government in terms of implementing the government's own policies. And the last slide, remember I asked you for 3 key ideas that stayed with you and the 3 questions. So what does this mean? That Blue Star is a credible, reputable, and outstanding global organization. In my opinion, the research supports the idea that our organization abides by sustainable international policies and endeavors as promoted by the most important international organization, that is the United Nations, as shown through the national policies. And why is this important? Because it brings the concept of holistic, spiritual, non-profit organization to an entirely new level. From the transparency of the audit, responsibility, and accountability, to managing a diverse society with every religion or lack of it and every ethnicity, to improving food security and reducing land abandonment and inaccessibility, to improving the local environment through national festivals and event management. We have done it all and continue and will continue to do so. And finally, how is this relevant to each and every one of us? Every time you think, I'm only doing the dishes at the ashram, I'm only good at cooking at the ashram, or maybe I can only afford to donate this much, or only buy this CD, DVD, book, or anything else from the shop, or I'm only interested in the reflexology treatment at the wellness center, or a chocolate drink at the cafe, guilty as charged. Remember, all these things contribute to the field we have been creating. We are tiny, precious blue stars as part of the bigger, stronger blue star. What we do for ourselves individually, we do unto ourselves collectively. Our focus on self-transformation as the templates is building the framework together, because together we aspire and together we achieve. Thank you for listening.
Wow. That puts us in national context and international context, which I haven't done before. So this is totally eye-opening for me, and how you presented it, well, it's amazing. I deeply appreciate the work of you and David, and really showing us where we fit in the national context and international context. This is awesome, Joanna. I didn't expect this, and it's really fitting for the conversation today. Yeah.
Guruji, there might be a chance for David to do a PhD on the 3 stages of Vrindavan coming up next year. And I would like your blessing if it's in the karmic play, because I think it could be instrumental and mutually beneficial. And then we can also bring our research back to the community, because we're practically telling everyone this is what we are.
Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. So yes, a blessing for it. And thank you for putting your focus on Vrindavan, because for me it's another blessing that is coming. Yeah, thank you so much, Joanna. Appreciate that. On behalf of all of us. Yeah, thank you. Dr. Jenny Rose has been in this field for a long time. I'm sure as she looked at this presentation, she would have been very excited by it as well, looking at the local and national and international context in which Vrindavan operates. And truly our organization is global, and it is seeking to influence from the grassroots, going up. And I know that Jenny is a lover of what's happening on a national scale and also international, and she's an absolute lover of the ideals of the Blue Star. So as you focus on what we did this week and where we are heading, let us hear your thoughts.
Namaskar. Do I have to stand? I'm okay. Good. Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar, everyone. Well, anytime anyone asks me how I came to choose aging, I always say aging chose me. Because even when my parents, when I was born, they were in the late 40s. And it is ironic now that at the time, my mom was 40, my dad was 46. And that was considered very old to give birth because your child would be prone to Down syndrome and a whole lot of things. But in this lifetime that I chose to be born, would you believe that midlife now is 70 to 75? Because the human lifespan now is 120, all things being equal. So if we really practice all that I heard of this week, especially what we heard yesterday, we could be going forward in that vein, feeling very healthy, and also having what is also very edifying is to know that we could choose when we want to transition and actually say, I'm ready now, or I want to inhabit another body, another incarnation. That is so dynamic for me because ever since I was a child, I was always curious. And my dad reminded me that I think I was age 5 or 6 when I asked him, does the world start at year 1, before it came to 19-something and 20-something? Where did it start, And I remember vividly him saying, when you get a little older, I will try to explain. But it's amazing that, Guruji was the first person that told me that I chose that particular father because he was always an esoteric thinker. And my mom was one that was just a lover for everybody, the community, and so. So it is the combination of the two of them that, because Daddy was always very firm, a very firm disciplinarian. And she was the one that any guest that we had, they would gravitate to her because she was almost like a storyteller, and always had something to say. And lo and behold, interestingly, it is the merger of their two sets of different attributes that brought me, I'm seeing where that influenced my choice of degree in public policy, which is cold. Policy has no feelings, and the only way I knew that, being told by my professor, is when in writing, I think I was writing my thesis, and I mentioned I stated in a sentence that Trinidad felt the experiences of something, and he said Trinidad can't feel. Policy has no feelings. You have to say Trinidad experienced. So I took note, and I knew after that my calling, which now was the blend of both my mom's style and my dad's style, that when I now had to speak in public fora, one of the professors, a local professor, came to me after and he said, your style of presenting what you did, you tend to humanize policy. And that was then when everything started to make sense because I didn't leave Trinidad to go and study at PhD level. But everything just kind of unfolded and I was going with the flow, for want of a better word. I just went with the flow because I enjoyed learning. And that whole question now has brought me to this. And now I'm speaking no longer as the director of the Division of Aging, where I had staff and all these different programs, and I started the division from scratch. So that was cutting a road into changing the way the average Joe Bloke would look at aging. Because if you ask anybody, how old are you? You would see this hesitance, this kind of, why is she asking me this? You don't divulge that. And one of the main things that happened by the time my tenure was up, you would actually hear people boasting and saying, look at me at 75, don't I look great? And then now I had to turn and change the script to say there is no one look for how you are to be at 70. Always stressing the being rather than the doing and the having. It is how you be, and you could transform that. So the diverse audiences that I've had over those 15 years when I was director, now in retirement, I've gone into now and I changed the lyric again, because there's a dread again for persons going into retirement. So now I'm being called to counsel persons who have like 5 more years to transition to retirement, because some don't know what to do when they leave the job. And then you realize that the way we have been educated, the way we have been made to feel, is that we never got an idea of how to maximize and optimize time. What do we do with this time? And so I find now when I'm speaking, that's the importance of what Guruji's guidance now in tapping into the breath, tapping in, understanding Kundalini in a very fundamental, practical way. And then I cannot speak to my audiences in a philosophical jargon. No. I have to speak lay. Sometimes I have to shift and speak into our own vernacular for them to understand and grasp the concept that we age from a cellular level. So any amount of things that you cover yourself with from a physical standpoint, that will fade eventually, because nature ages. And that's where I could incorporate some of Guruji's nuggets. I mean, so much of what I say comes directly through him. And then sometimes when I call him, and he would say, well, you are aligned with me, and you are in my field. So it gives me a sense of comfort, knowing that I don't have to go into what am I going to tell this particular audience. And then Kundalini now is operating at another level, which I'm witnessing, because the light that Guruji speaks of and what he introduced in what he had to say today, we have to also understand that when we are beings of light, which he reminded me I am, it also attracts bugs. It also attracts things that bite you. Then to some, the glare of the light is too strong, so they feel intimidated. And as I expand my consciousness more, which I will only know through Guruji's feedback, you tend to feel the sense of witnessing becomes so sharp that you almost pick up. I call it osmosis.
Okay, Jen, let me put this in context as I listen to you.
Sure.
And of course, you've been educated in the way of looking at aging in a particular way.
Yeah.
That's all in the physical.
Right.
Right? How do you reconcile that with the idea that there's a part of me that doesn't age?
Precisely.
That's one conversation. That's one way of looking at it.
Correct.
And then when you are called now to speak to aging people and about aging, how do you reconcile that when there is a possibility that they can get to a place inside where there is no aging, but the aging is on the cellular level or the body level? And how do we talk about a spirit that is ageless to an aging population? Because I'm sure almost in every religion they can resonate with the idea that we are spiritual beings.
Precisely.
Right? Or we are beings who are held in the divine. Or we are
Correct.
beings who are connected to the divine. How do you bring that message to people on the external who may not be totally versed in that? But how do you bring your message into a way that you speak about a spirit that can glow at any age? And then you can leave this world fully fulfilled and with a smile on your face, even when it's time to leave the aged body.
Sure.
and a body that can hold you again. How do you bring a message like that to help people to see the world differently and not to be overwhelmed by the aging process and the
Exactly.
likely demise of the physical body? How do you take them to a place where they can believe in another possibility, that of
Sure.
agelessness, timelessness? How do you do
Definitely.
that?
What I tend to do, what I've seen, thanks to Kundalini's guidance again, I sometimes, because of I have to go back to some of my text, which I have in memory, and use, because I start on the premise that the West has to understand things through the senses, through the 5 senses. And if what I'm saying doesn't encapsulate or incorporate that, it doesn't exist. And I noticed it also when as a head, we had a retreat. And in the retreat, we had a trainer, on speaking towards what you just said. And I could have seen the difficulty the person was having in trying to explain it.
Yeah, but I want to bring it to you in such a
Yeah.
palatable way, right?
Right.
So, for example, we call alcohol spirits as well.
Right.
Right? What does it do?
Exactly.
We call inspiration a spirited thing.
Correct.
We talk about spirited. How do you use that word? Because if I'm called to do that, I'm going to talk about the possibility of aging. It's real,
Right.
but there's another part of us, the spirit within us,
Yeah.
that can be ageless,
Sure.
and that can help us to manage the aging process.
Now,
But we don't.
Sure.
That it doesn't matter what the age is. It doesn't matter what the infirmity is.
Right.
But my spirit, it's full of life, and I want to live, and I'm going to live beyond this body, really. And I want to gather all of you in the spirit too. Let's have a spiritual revolution. Let's be full of spirit. Let's be full of life. Spirit is life. Spirit is consciousness, and we all have the same thing.
and you just brought me to this sentence that I was going to say. I use myself. And when I'm speaking without the jargon of the philosophical jargon, and some of them might think I'm boasting, and I'm saying when I go to the doctor and I get my pulse and it says it's like a 16-year-old, I said, I'm 72, and they would be like, wow, because also too, what that does inadvertently is let them see that I am easy in
But
speaking
if you
about.
had to go to the rum shop or the pub
Yes,
and inspire those people, what you would say to them?
and I'm glad you brought that, because while writing my thesis, I met this reprobate that I call him, and this is he, because he's on the ground. He said, I hope you're not finishing writing this thesis without coming with me in the rum shop. And he said, because that's where the university or the street is.
Absolutely.
And you have to go to the barber shop. And that's what I did, because in their Guruji, you have to know, you have to be grounded. Because they're going to fly at you, because they're curious to know, who is this? Because and also in the pan yard, because I played pan in the pan yard. And they curse all the time, but when they were cursing and so, they will look at me and say, hold up, say excuse me, because this lady is not from here. They know when you are not one of them. But what I sense, there's a curiosity that they have. And once you capture, and I don't use my title, I don't say I'm Dr. Rouse. I just speak because I'm a friend of one of their own who lives in the area. So I use that as a segue to start to say what I'm saying. And then I said, are you all aware that the alcohol is a depressant? I said, so when you're all thinking you're going to get a high off of the alcohol, what it really does is have you speaking in tongues of what may be unresolved issues. Well, I'm not using that word, but just for the audience, you can't use those words, because sometimes when you slip and just use a word, they catch it. And so I found a way that when even I slip and say a word, I usually give like a definition of it or what it means, in other words. And it has taught me now to speak not in a pulpit, as if I am up in a lectern somewhere, but I'm able now to ground with them and let them know aging is not something that you fear with dread. I have stopped using the word retirement. I use the word refinement. And I tell them how the West uses retirement is really a rites of passage.
But isn't retirement a good word too? Putting on new tires?
And that's what I told. Would you believe it was a nonagenarian in my audience who is 92. She said, but I find in retirement, I really retread in my tires.
Absolutely.
She was the one.
Yeah.
Now also, what I had to let them understand that over 85, their long-term memory is sharper. So they remember in minute detail, Guruji, what they were doing in primary school, who were the teachers, when we had the tram cars, how the transport was. But they may not remember what they had for breakfast that morning.
Yeah, but thank you, Jen.
But it is but one last point that I must make, Guruji, based on the different kind of institutions that are calling on me to speak as like a focal point on aging, I have to do the Latin America and Caribbean group through ECLAC. And then I'm called at the ministerial level to speak with financiers because, as you will know in policy, before you start producing programs, you have to define the issue and know what it is. And right now, aging globally is an economic issue.
Yeah.
It used to be social, so you have these kind of hard business people. And last but not least, a book that I left back in Maryland, there's a book called Capitalism and Aging, to show you the impact capitalism has on telling us who are over 60 that you are no longer productive. Why does retirement have to be mandatory at a certain
Now,
age?
do you see why we need a one consciousness world?
Precisely. When we are at our best, that's when we really have a finger and a foothold.
But this also begs the question of why can't we get the young ones to make up? Because in some of the societies, the older ones are there with the younger ones. So the younger ones can pick up those habits quickly. So you have a seamless moving. So does it mean if we are depending on those who are retired, that means are we really, the population of the youths really coming up to meet that, to offset that? So that's where we need to have that kind of balance on both sides to maintain the productivity that we need.
And that was the point, because I don't want to go on too long, but that was the point I had to make at the ECLAC discussion with the Latin Americans, where at their level, they're still looking at the elders as the vulnerable group, but yet not to be seen as a burden on the state, but as a resource. So I had to bring in the fact that we have to look at aging now along a life course perspective.
Absolutely.
It has to be done intergenerationally now.
A timeline,
because
yeah.
Guruji, a grandmother now is 35, a grandmother. And what that is causing, we have seen a case where a girl who was 16 in a high school, she was brilliant, and then her grades started falling. And they brought in a psychologist who is a friend of mine to find out, well, what is going on with her. Her whole persona had changed and so. And when she started to speak about her mother and berating her mother, how the mother is never home, she's always out partying and always out and is not given enough attention, the psychologist then asked, she was 16, how old is your mom? The mom is 26.
Well,
So
how do you blame when puberty starts early, right? Puberty starts at 13 or 14, and the body is developed now for sexuality, for mating. How are you going to stop that and say, okay, we have to wait till 21 to get married? And these people are ready, men as well as women, early. So how do we look at that in the future? Really dealing with this whole puberty issue, and when are we going to? How are we going to look at that? And tell them why they should not get involved in so much sexuality so early, even though the body is equipped. So
but you touched on it in one of the in one of these days when you said the food, they're looking at the food, the instant food is affecting because some women are having menopause now in their 30s and 40s.
There we are. There we are. So
something has to be done.
Yes, some searchlight has to go there and look into that part of it.
Sure.
We're looking at how people getting older, but we need to look at what's happening in the youths.
And the latest statistics has shown us in our 1.4 million, we have now 1,000 centenarians, the oldest being 112.
Wow.
So you understand that range. It's a whole spectrum that is all alive at the same time. So Vrindavan is going to be very unique.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be very unique.
Absolutely.
And it is going to serve the region.
Absolutely.
And you see how they're showing CARICOM has to come together as one.
Yeah.
So it is very timely.
Because when I look at this conference and what it can produce, right? Especially what Joanna presented as well.
Sure.
Then I'm thinking now, how can we have this in Vrindavan next year? How can we bring people into the environment of sustainability?
Precisely.
And exactly in conference style, and talk about it. So that could we could well invite people from the Caribbean,
definitely,
and maybe abroad to really have this voice. So this is exciting my mind.
Mm-hmm. And it will break down cultural sensitivity.
Yeah,
at a whole other level.
Absolutely.
So I am very blessed. See, Guruji, why I tell you, I've earned you whatever merit it is that I did in my other lives. I just can't be sad.
Thank you, Jenny.
I can't be sad.
Yeah. It's lovely.
You so
and thank you
much.
for being a part of us and the
You're
conversation.
most welcome.
Yeah. Adi Dev, any thoughts on what you've been listening to? You're one of the young pioneers.
Yes, Guru. To Dr. Jenny's point and to your point, I'm really driven to assist and, how should I say, reimagine how we carry our youths and how we let them interact. Because right now, the whole education system is for them to learn to do tests. And they
but where I want you to go is we're creating the idea of unity consciousness across the world, right?
Right.
Now, you are the next generation, right? And how are you going to contribute to that? How are you as a youth going to communicate with the others? And how can we have sustainable environments that can also, like what Joanna spoke about, how we can really bring the one consciousness of life itself. How can Vrindavan become an education center of the future? How can it become a center of a practical center where we see the principles at work? And how can we get people engaged in this in a safe part of Trinidad and Tobago, where we can come together in harmony and begin to create the prospect of a community that can be seen globally for lighting up the future in terms of an environment that respects nature, that lives in harmony with nature, that look towards food production, look towards social activities, caring for the elders, bring up the young ones. Because I'm thinking at some point we need to have a birthing center, but so that we can help pregnant women in bringing the children that we need for a new world, and for those who have contributed to society when they're transitioning, to hold them together with us, and help them to leave the world full of pride and dignity, and with hope for a beautiful afterlife, or between lives. So how can we come together to create that as a vision for the future? You are young, and that's why I've reached out to you there, and now a young professional in your career. How can you contribute towards this? And I know you love Vrindavan as well, and so does your parents. But how do you contribute to this? First in your vision, and first in your ideas, and then how you communicate your ideas, because you're going to be a communicator. How do you concretize this vision inside of you, and how do you have it in your conversation and your language and your thinking that you become an instrument of change? Because we look forward to you guys being the future.
ex- for me, the priority is to be there, to be physically present there and part of the process, right? Because it's at Genesis now, right? The Genesis is now, it's happening. And to be there and to watch firsthand, as everything, as the permaculture starts.
Yeah, but
I see
that's
permaculture.
one thing. But now you're going to be back in the U.S. And you're going to be taking up a job of teaching, right? And how do you look at those students that are being ready? And don't think that your students are going to come randomly to you. People will come to you who need you. They will come into your classes. How would you communicate with them, seeing that they're from the universe, and that you can begin to help these minds to see life differently? That's where it begins. Doesn't matter where you are, and you can keep on contributing to Vrindavan by inspiring people to come, becoming yourself as well, but also letting it be in your language, in your conversation, in your ideas. This is where it begins with us. So how do you fill yourself with it? You don't wait till you come. No, but infuse these principles right where you are, and begin to communicate with it. So you can expand your field of conversation with people. And I would say that even though you're not physically in Vrindavan, you could be all about Vrindavan in the way you think, the way you are, and the way how you envision a new world.
We have a spot already on the campus to put these essentials of Vrindavan. That's
There
why I
we
said
are.
it's to be there, right?
So
To
that's
be there.
Vrindavan.
So I can look and implement it in the best way, because not just to tell the students about it, telling the students, when you can have the students interact with it, then they say, oh, I want more. The community that wants more, students that want more. The more that this is received as a positivity. But for me right now, it's I have to learn too. I appreciate that too.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
permaculture is not something
Exactly.
that has been my goal.
And
But I'm excited that
remember what I said is that the teacher is also a student, right?
that's what they'll see. So that's why I'm saying where I was going with that, was because to bring that part of the university now, to have that permaculture garden, which will be called the Neuroecology Lab, that will have mindfulness
Yeah.
and integration with permaculture, where students
Beautiful.
feel that they can engage
Beautiful.
in composting, sustainable living,
Right.
and not just for the students, but for the community too, to bring people in. The university does great work with autistic students around
Yeah.
the community as well,
Beautiful, beautiful.
to let them be part
Yeah.
of it. And everyone starts to engage in this and grow this center of light.
Right.
And then eventually that will inspire that inner side of growth.
What did you study? Neurobiology?
Neuroscience
Neuroscience?
and
Yeah,
Yes,
so he's a PhD in neuroscience and doing research work in Sweden. But he's going to come back to the US. But he grew up with me, and as a little boy, and I'd call him in the satsang and ask him to speak because I saw he loved to speak. And when he comes up in the satsang and he takes the microphone, oh my God, he was not shy at all. He would speak so eloquently and beautifully. I really admire that, and he grew up that way in the Blue Star. Always being a good communicator, loving to teach, loving to speak, and I'm very happy because he grew up, like Shreya as well, the Blue Star way. Yeah, so thank you for your voice today, Adidev. But you're so full of light, and I want you to inculcate within yourself and with those around you that Vrindavan consciousness, which I don't see as just a blue star, but is a consciousness of it's a different social consciousness.
That's
The
our
kind-
future.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
students are already gravitating towards it for sure. Just talking about the idea with them, they say, wow, they can't wait, because that's the idea too on a scientific level.
Yeah.
Challenging that idea that a lab needs to be within walls in a sterile environment, completely away from the natural world. Reimagining that as well on that level for these science-minded students, right? That's their drive, that's where they're headed for now. and to say, this can be the lab. This is where labs start. This is
Absolutely.
where scientific inquiry started, is in nature, watching what's
Yeah,
going on.
absolutely, absolutely.
So that's the excitement
Yeah.
that I hope, I pray with the blessings of the universe and the Guru's guidance,
Yeah.
that we can bring that to there in a full force.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. Shrey, do you want to add anything to this conversation? Since you grew up with the same kind of ideals.
I did. I really appreciate hearing from everyone who spoke, from Ayuana and Adi Dave as well. It's grounding myself again in this idea that bringing spirituality is wherever we are, and this is how I've grown up with you. But I think it was RT who mentioned it in one of our conversations around sort of keeping my spirituality as my secret superpower identity, and never feeling open and excited about sharing it with my world for fear of how I might be perceived, and letting go of all of that, because now I'm seeing how in my own work too, similar to Anupriya working in anti-racism, you're working with adults, you're challenging people to look at their own internal biases, you're challenging everyone around me to look at the bigger picture and see people from that space of oneness. And so it makes me very excited about how we can bring these principles into every space that we're in by virtue of living them, and not necessarily having to say my guru taught me this, but being able to bring it forward and teach all those around us.
When you improve the consciousness of people, when you get people to understand a little more how to work with each other, how to accept each other, how does it feel? How does it feel?
It feels excellent for me, but I see the space grow. So when I'm in workplaces and we're building a team environment, and I'm encouraging my own team to work from this higher self without saying the word higher self, you see the whole environment shift and change. The way they interact with one another shifts and change. The way that they go home and they think and they contemplate about what we're talking about shifts and change. And it balloons. It absolutely explodes. The whole workplace environment shifts. Our meetings shift in the moment when we remind them about these principles. So you see it catch like fire. This idea and this concept that we are greater than our just one self, and we have to open our mind to see the other in ourselves.
Yeah, beautiful. William, do you want to add anything to this conversation? You into the same area as Shreya. This is Shreya's husband, William. They work in the same field.
Stand up.
Namaskar, everyone. One thing that I would just love to share with everyone in the space is, have you ever had a challenging conversation where your ideological differences are so far opposite ends of the spectrum, where it's like, if we're talking about climate change, for example, where you're a strong believer of a green economy and the other person you're speaking to has no understanding of it and just thinks you're some sort of a lefty or socialist or communist type of thinker. And now you have to establish some common ground to be able to have a conversation. And one of the things that I found that worked very well, grounding myself in the experience at the ashram, is utilizing some of your chakras and coming from a space of love and establishing some common ground with the other person. So I had this interesting conversation with someone about climate change, and it was not about our differences of opinion as to how to advance climate change action. It was about our experiences growing up. And we talked about skiing. So this other person was obviously not in tune with my ideological belief. And we talked about growing up, and their favorite experience from a place of love as a child was actually skiing. And obviously in Trinidad we can't ski, but in where they grew up they skied a lot. And I asked, you have kids, you have grandkids? They're like, yes. And do you think they're going to be able to ski? And automatically they're like, no. The ski hills they're gone. The kids can't go fishing either because the lakes are polluted, and this and it kept on going on. But it was a place of love that brought us together to understand our experiences, because it was things that we held on to, and it was something that we wanted to share with our future generations, but we couldn't do it because we quickly understood that we're destroying our world. And from there, we were able to have a conversation, well, how do we actually advance this? How do we come together and forget that we're people with different ideological or political beliefs, that we're one people. Like, we're here as energy, we're here as a human race, but as energy, we are all connected. And I didn't say any of these things because it's a lot of jargon, I think, maybe, perhaps, but we were able to connect at a different level. And through that connection, we're able to have an actual conversation where we can share thoughts and solutions and just different ways of approaching the sustainability in our world and being able to engage with one another. And what was really interesting is other people gravitated towards that type of energy and that type of understanding, because it was not a debate. It was a conversation at the most basic level of understanding each other. And I really feel that came from a place of love. And
Yeah.
just understanding each other of like
Absolutely.
our experiences.
It's beautiful to see how the ashram has also inspired you, and perhaps Shreya as well, in your thinking and in your work.
Yeah, so just like one of the things is we all come with our differences, right? So it is always trying to engage and understand and connect with each other, not based on how we look, our age, our gender, our race, our spiritual, religious beliefs. It is understand that you're coming to a space that we're all one. We're all connected. Automatically, we're all connected. It's how we see our connection with one another is what you have the opportunity to change and inspire and be able to, I don't know the exact word, but you're able to contribute to that connection. People just don't see it the same way. But you can contribute to that in any space that you're in.
Yeah, thank you very much, William, for your contribution. Yeah, Brother Faiz, you wanted to say something today? Brother Faiz works with the Sai organization. And of course, they are in a lot of this kind of oneness in the social consciousness.
Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar, everyone. Namaskar, Guruji. It's really, really amazing that at the very point in time when I was ready to speak, you asked me to. And I thank you for this opportunity, and I'm eternally grateful. And Guruji, before I say this, I am really, really grateful for all that you've done for me since I met you way back in 2010 with a life-threatening experience. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And whatever I can do as an individual to contribute to the betterment and to contribute to the vision, this wonderful vision that you have, I will be most willing. So Guruji, on the second day when you spoke about the vision of Blue Star, not only locally but internationally, I went home and I sat in my home office and I looked at the picture of Sai Baba and I said, Swami, what can happen with Blue Star? And I just remained quiet and listened from the heart. And this is what came. Guruji, you said, first of all, there can never be world transformation unless there is individual transformation. So it starts with each and every one of us. When we change, our world and the world around us change. And Guruji, you spoke about all the components that will bring about this change in the world, in the society, how to make the world a better place. And we spoke about the young adults, but I think what is very, very important is the role of mothers. And when Sri Satya Sai Baba built the first university, Guruji, he built the university for women first. And many people asked him, why did you build the University of Women first? And many people gave different answers. And then he said, this university is built to produce good mothers. On the laps of mothers lie the future of the nation. On the laps of mothers lie our children becoming good and value-based citizens. And when I look at the example of somebody like Shreya, who has literally grown up under your divine care, and now producing children that are highly evolved. Look at the 9-month period where I'm sure she would have been involved in Blue Star, in meditation and prayer. when that 9-month period and now a child is born out of that process, you have attracted good and noble souls. And this is how we can create a better society from the preschool, even before the child reaches this preschool, right up to becoming adults. Guruji, you talked about visualize. Sai Baba says visualize to materialize, meaning that you have seen this vision. It's already happened. It's just a formality of what is happening here. So visualize to materialize. He's also said, Guruji.
Yeah, beautiful, and I want to speak to that a little bit, because my belief is that in my consciousness, when I begin to visualize, I really begin to intuitively see what karma has. So my visualization is not without context. My visualization is really giving birth to something that was already there before. Does it make any sense? That my mind is conceiving what the universe wants in the next step. Because when I think of Vrindavan, it just comes out of my soul with such passion and with such light. I know it's not a product of my brain or just a simple human ego, but I know that it's from the beyond. And all I'm doing is just the motions that will bring it. It's like the child in the womb of the mother. Is the mother really creating this child? Or is the universe creating this child and the mother is just the instrument of having this child being born? Is the mother responsible for the soul? Or is it that the soul wants to come into this mother? Is it that the soul is choosing the mother? Is it that Vrindavan is a creation of the universe and I'm simply helping to give it birth and realization? So is this visualization to realization happening in and through the divine within me? And that's how I see it.
And Guruji, that was so beautiful. It is as if Vrindavan is already there.
Yes.
And the universe is just putting it together through your loving guidance and advice and energy. It is so beautiful. And then Guruji, it is said by Sai Baba too, once your intention is pure and love is present, men, material and resources will come. And this is exactly what you have alluded to in so many ways, especially with Vrindavan and funding and people coming and giving of themselves with this labor of love. The intention is pure, the resources is going to come. So Guruji, I'm actually seeing, I'm feeling it. Not, in Trinidad we say we feel it in our, not in our beings, but in our bones, that all of this is happening. And then Guruji, you spoke about teachers are the only permanent students. If we have good teachers and we have good parents, we're going to produce good students, and that will create a better value-based society. And then Guruji, your vision, your energy, your guidance, your love will all bring it into fruition. And then you talked about transformative education. That education is not to eke out a living. It is for life. It is for awakening that inner divinity within ourselves. And then the timing is perfect. And there's a sense of urgency, Guruji. There's a spiritual revolution that is happening silently that is causing all of this to happen. And then you spoke, Guruji, about having Blue Star centers throughout the world. And my God, I've actually seen the world and all these dotted lights happening, whether it is in Holland, Romania, Ireland, Canada. And Trinidad is really what we may call the root of what you have created here. And from here, the branches will blossom forth in human excellence throughout the world. And this is how we can create a better society. So this is what came to me, Guruji. I was so anxious and passionate to share it. And I really, really feel in my heart that it's only a matter of time before it manifests. And that time is now. The future is now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Butterflies. Yes, Madhavi, you would like to add anything to this?
Thank you for the opportunity. Good day. Namaskar, everyone. I just want to say, first of all, what a marvelous conference this has been. Yesterday, I spent a little time away from the physical center, but was looking on, and that was very useful for me because the experience of the conference, the feeling of unity, the feeling of togetherness, all of us taking this journey together. We love these times with you, Guru. And then after, we look to see how can we hold on to these times? What do we do? And for me, that's the role I feel called to. How do we support each other? How do we walk hand in hand with each other? Not necessarily in big organized programs, but in friendship, in reaching out, in the informal ways, not just with each other in our formal Blue Star, but in our community, in our families. And Gurudev started off talking about oneness. What does it feel like to be one with another? This is my, the thing that motivates me. How do I feel oneness with someone else? And I think from when I first met you, and then going to Canada, we were physically apart. The invitation was to come into oneness there. And it was community that helped me to do that. And then later on, when you suggested giving up the formal world of work and saying, immerse yourself in this, but you didn't tell me how. You didn't say, I said, well, what will I do? What will I do? And people often ask me, what do you do? I have no answer to that. I just studied the teachings, and I welcome the support of others who helped me to learn. And I love the feeling of being in community. I really enjoyed every single presentation. I learned something from it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to take up from that. She asked, how do we become one? How do we feel oneness? And the idea has to be that oneness is coming from a deeper level where there is no two, where we feel a friendship, a connection, a bond. And even though our personality may be different, and this is where the beauty is, even though our personality may be different, but there is still the pull to oneness, that we can disagree and still be full of love, that we can have different personas and yet be full of love for each other. Can we blend? When you look at a bouquet of flowers, for example, having all the flowers being one could be nice, but when you have a variety of flowers, it's beautiful. So when you think of different colors of human beings, it's exciting for me. And we tend to think, oh my God, we tend to separate ourselves by ethnicity. But when you begin to see the beauty of the human race, and that we can be of different colors, we can be of different languages, we can be of different statures physically, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And how can we not have the eyes to see the beauty of the human race, and why we have different colors, different shades, and how we can have different languages? It's absolutely beautiful. If you don't have eyes to see that beauty, then you don't really enjoy the world that we are born in. There's 7 colors to the rainbow. 7 colors. Do you want to leave out any color? No. No. And even the absence of color is a color. Do you know that? But it's the beauty and the spectrum of life. So that oneness consciousness is what underlies that. So if you can come into a space where you can really connect to the consciousness of life itself, your eyes will see only beauty. Only beauty in the diversity. And so that idea of unity in diversity is extremely important. The plurality is extremely important. The appreciating of each other is extremely important. And that is the Blue Star. That is the Blue Star. Yeah. Yes, Jen.
But this question, it wasn't a question, it was a statement, came on a WhatsApp. Don't talk butterfly language to a caterpillar, the caterpillar people. And I pondered on it for a while, because you could take it in one slant to mean, you're holier than thou. Good, because you're the butterfly. But it is challenging because I seem to attract challenged or challenging people. And you have to be so, because I see those times as teachable moments for me, to be temperate, to be tolerant, to be keen, to know how to bridge this, because they are eating, let us say, like the caterpillar. They're just they are at a phase in the metamorphosis where they're just taking in. You now might be in the semi-cocoon or cocoon, where you now are at pause, doing a lot of activity on the inside that you look dead to them. That's the area that I have to dig deep. I have to go deep, because sometimes I just feel a heat coming up my spine, not one of anger, but just trying to figure out, how to make an incision here to let them feel good and me feel good. But the inner eye is already recognizing at what stage this person is in the whole chain of metamorphosis. And the thing about it is, the butterfly, even when it emerges, doesn't have very long to live. He has reached his, the end of the chain, and he goes. But the caterpillar has something inside that has a shut-off point to know where he stops eating, and he's just still. But when we transfer that, and I'm maybe putting it out as a question, how do we, and the same thing about reaching out to people without carrying a sense of holier than thou?
Well, would you be able to appreciate that we do not meet anyone out of context, out of the context of the karmic play?
Correct.
And that each one we meet on the journey is the ideal one that can help us to express our purpose or fulfill our purpose. So for example, we may become an agent of change for the person. We may be we may be rewarded by it as well, through the whole thing. So we may have something to gain from it, and the other person may have something to gain from it. But can we see that even when we meet diversity and meet challenges in diversity, how much opportunities are there to really grow or mutually grow? And that's how I see the world, right? Sometimes you may complain about who is in the ashram and they don't have the qualities yet, and I said, no. They provide an opportunity for us as well as we provide an opportunity for them. We can mutually grow out of this. So welcome the opportunity and learn to work with it. But that is the way we can co-create a better world and develop the social consciousness. Yeah, but we need to see the karmic play at work. But let me take Subhashini, Canada.
Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar, everyone.
Namaskar, Subha.
Yeah, I've been listening to the conversation today with great interest. Social consciousness has come more and more into my purview the last year or so, and just thinking of ways that we can shift into a better and brighter world. And of course, centers of light being a key tool to do that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Often when we put how we're existing in the framework, in the broader framework of, for example, our current economic system of capitalism and working towards that, I mean, it can get quite depressing in thinking of how the world is in this current yuga, and giving that, I mean, it is a yuga. As the yuga shifts, then we'll begin to shift away from the kind of capitalistic values that we're seeing and that we need to operate within in order to be able to be taken seriously. And just going a little bit to what Will was saying, just you coming across as like a socialist or a communist is not welcome, even though that's where our world kind of needs to go, into more social values where it's the person that matters, not profits, for example, or other things. So then the question becomes, how do we do that? And I think as Jenny was just saying, reaching the people and getting kind of a value shift without even bringing that about. So how do you talk with people? How do you communicate with people in a way that's open and welcoming for that? So that's something that I'm personally working on, as I find like I am very charged in the way that I want to see things being done immediately or changed. But I mean, in having, for example, programs that have like executives. So Guruji, I know that you were working in industry for a while, and you brought that light into industry in the ways that you interacted with people, and that, you know, that has a ripple effect. So all the way up to the CEO, for example, and the way that they're making decisions. So how do we reach, for example, CEOs of companies that are profit driven right now, but there's an opportunity to shift away from that. So if, for example, getting programs or ways or people embedded in these that are bringing that light into those. So it's not just only can we concentrate and build our strength within ourselves, but then how do we spread that into the world by being, you know, strategic points placed and keeping that light, but also bringing that outward. So that's something that just kind of came up within me,
Yeah,
so.
because we cannot prevent the consciousness of capitalism, for example. Nor can we become so socialist that people become unproductive or they are forced by military to be productive. That's not a happy world. How can we appeal to the consciousness of those on the right and on the left to come into a center point where we realize that both sides are important. People need to get incentive for production and rewarded for the hard work. And people need to also help those who are struggling, that they too can learn how to be inspired to work harder. So we really need a centrist position where we can see the value of both sides. And that centrist position has to be of a higher consciousness. It has to be the consciousness of one world where all are included, an inclusive world. And so that we bring out the best in everyone. That's how I see the world. So when I see people aspiring to make money or to do things, it's always nice when we can appeal to the generous nature, like how Bloomberg is giving out money to these places that needs it. So when you see those billionaires with an open heart, they continue to make money, but they gave out. It's beautiful to see that. And when you see people who just want a handout, you know, they believe that they are born in the world and they deserve a handout. No. How do you get them into productivity? And how you help them to do that? So a different kind of education is required. Because we cannot change the spectrum of consciousness in our world. But the Bhagavad Gita says that a great person would not unsettle the mind of the ignorant. Because you know what happens when you unsettle the mind of the ignorant? They don't understand. They become military. But a great person will become the example. It says that whatever a great person does, the generality of people follow that person. And the Bhagavad Gita says, so be the example that people will be inspired by what you do. So that's where we need to be, in my opinion. We need to reflect the values of a better world, where we are compassionate, but where we make people industrious, and where we earn for the benefit of all. So we work hard, but we share. And we educate people. That's where education is important. And we educate people to not only the academics, but understand the social context of life, and to be kind towards everybody, and understand that we're all together on this one planet, and we all need each other. Just like different species are required for the ecology. And when you kill out a species, you don't realize what you're doing. You're endangering the balance of nature. So too are all the people in the world. They're all required. The ones who are born with some disability or whatever, it gives us a chance to show our compassionate and loving nature. And the ones who work hard, we also need to recognize that and clap for it, but appeal to their nature as well to be more kind and more compassionate. So it is a consciousness shift that will create a better world. Nothing but a consciousness shift. So what we are doing in the Blue Star is that. We're all about consciousness evolution, developing the consciousness so we can appreciate each other. That's why you see the motto, see the one in the all and the all in the one, that the divine is in everyone. And and so that one that is in the all, and that everyone, the all in the one, that everyone has the potential to become the best. So that's what we need to be. Yeah. I see Vashishta has a hand up.
Yes, thank you, Guruji. I feel the urge to speak a little bit about what you was telling us the last 5 minutes and what was in the conversations before. Not long ago, there was a world famous book written by, I don't know anymore the name of the writer. Most people are good in Dutch. It's a translation from a Dutch title, but it's all over the world. And it was sold a lot of the millions of that book. So I think most people are indeed in their deepest level are good. So what they need, I think, and that is what I recognize in meeting you, and is an example for what can one do with his life. How can you be good in a way that is not egoistic? And I think we need for that places of light in the world. Vrindavan is a place of that light, and of course the ashram is a place of light. But everybody is a place of light.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And just to add to that, I think it's a responsibility of the one who is more wise,
yes.
who can see more, to help those who can't.
Yes.
So surrounding people with love, holding them there, protecting them there, nourishing them there, is important for the one who is wise. So that's how I see a better world. I have the dream of a better world. And I act every day with every resource that is with me to help create a better world. And so I take a responsibility and I hold on to it, no matter how difficult the responsibility is, to make my whole life a contribution to co-creating a better world. I don't need anything for myself. What do I need for myself? I need it for my world. I need it for my world. And that's how I try to inspire all of you. Let's come together, let's work hard to create models that are sustainable models. The vision of Blue Star is a sustainable vision. It's going to always be there. And now I'm trying to inspire people to be there. So I want to enjoy watching it grow and involve all of us and the generations to come. Because the vision is a vision of the future. Blue Star is a vision for the future, a better world. And so this conversation becomes important. And what we did this week is important. And that the younger ones can be involved, the older ones can be involved. It's extremely important because it is the inner that will produce the outer. It is the consciousness change that will produce the change on the outside. So we have to continue this journey of the expanding the consciousness and promoting that, encouraging that, and helping it to sustain it, the expansion of consciousness. That's the only thing that will save our world.
and age is not important for that.
Hmm?
Age is
No.
not important for that.
Everybody is
Everybody.
important. Everybody
Yes.
is important. And I love older people. In fact, even from when I was a young person, I would see those who are aged and their eyes are full of sparkle. My grandmother, for example, when I came up here, my maternal, my grandmother and my mother's side, it was such a joy to be with her. I used to come on holidays and she was alone. And just to be with her was a joy. The things that she would make, where she was, I just loved being around her. And older people have always been fascinating to me because of the stories they can tell, and younger people as well. When I look at younger ones, I think, oh my God, how can I help in their maturity? How can I help them to grow? How can I help them to mature? How can I place the seeds of a higher consciousness in them? So both sides are important to me. So I love the whole spectrum of aging. With me, I don't ever think that I'm aging. I have the consciousness of a youth, so that's what I always have. When I look in the mirror, I don't see somebody who's aging, I see youth. I live in the consciousness of youth. I don't think I would ever have the consciousness of aging. No. that the spirit in this body is ageless, and it will express agelessly through this body. That's where I am. Yeah, I see. Oh, Shivaji, great to see you. Yeah, just to say, Shivaji is a dear friend of mine, also a disciple. When I first began to go to Hungary, he would sit right up, totally focused, and he would not let me leave until he understood everything. He would ask the questions until he understood everything, and knew how to practice it. That was him, and he has stayed with me ever since. Doesn't matter the time zone. He would join us for the Shiva Mahimna here. It's probably 1 o'clock in his country. But no, Shivaji will sit there. He's such a disciplined man. He rode his motorbike from Hungary right up to India with a murti on his chest. Can you imagine that? This is an amazing human being. Yeah. And he took me and showed me the land he has and where he wants to build a temple. And I met his beautiful mother as well. Beautiful soul. Yeah, Shivaji.
Namaskar, my Guru. Namaskar, everyone. Thank you for these nice days together. I enjoy it. We can learn, we can have the feeling together. And I don't know so much what you are working on, but I trust you so deeply that I will see what you will show us, how you imagine the details. I don't want to ask. I don't want to ask anything because I will see what you show later. And one thing, now I can connect with the consciousness and the awareness of my state of light as I approach all of you, but mainly, of course, to you, to your direction. And I would like that you feel that clean openness and the observation, what you show. This is the first. What I would like to share. How big work to stay in this pure lighting openness together. Because we have to maintain, have to work on, to listen to everyone, to listen to you and stay open. This is a work. It's not true that it's coming automatically. We necessary to work for it. The second thing, I would like to mention a very deep feeling when we were in the forest last time. When you remember.
Yeah, I can remember.
And you always helped me to open my heart. And in the forest, I was sitting, I watching you in the forest, and I felt so deeply, and I felt a very, very sensitive part in myself that I wish a very nice strength for you to keep on, to be so strong and nice in the forest. You are very nice in the forest with your white boots and white clothes. We have different color because I have the sand color, you are the white color.
Yeah.
And I wish in myself, oh my Guru, be strong, be healthy. Do it what you want. Show us and be healthy in the forest. And I ask, if I can ask something from the universe, I ask health for you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Health for you.
Thank you. I deeply appreciate that. In the forest, I also come alive. So I love that. And thank you for appreciating that. And thank you for praying for that. Yeah, that's my wish as well. Yeah. Thank you, Shivaji. Deeply appreciate. Yeah. We have Sudhiti.
Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar, family and friends. When you first opened this morning, you were saying, I want you to speak from that space, not something you think later, what should I should have asked? And I find myself often trying to pose, what would be best? And I just said, Kundalini, guide me. What came up, treat with where you are. I never use that term, treat with. It just came up, treat with where you are. And it just came in, I could just feel, yes, where I am karmically, where I am environmentally, socially, it's not important to excel, to be in the future, to worry where I'm going. Everything's coming in a way that's just so beautiful and perfect. And I'm just so excited. And I'm so happy with this conference. It's got me thinking in different ways and in different styles, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you, Suriti. And I'm really looking forward to your presence in Trinidad again. Thank you. Joanna?
May I reply to Subhashini, Guruji?
Sure.
Yeah. So when I first started doing the research, there was an article in the left-wing media in the UK where I live, and if I may read a bit, it's the right to clean, healthy, and sustainable environment was finally recognized as a fundamental human right by the United Nations in 2122. Some countries, notably the US, the world's worst historic polluter, argue that UN resolutions are legally influential but not binding. The right to a healthy environment is also enshrined in law by 161 countries, but there are some exceptions. So human rights come with legally enforceable obligations on the side of states. So this should absolutely be a game changer, and that's why states have resisted it for so long. By bringing human rights into the equation, we now have institutions, processes, and courts that can say to governments, this isn't an option for you to reduce your greenhouse gas emissions and phase out fossil fuels. These are obligations, which include regulating businesses to make sure that businesses respect the climate, the environment, and human rights. So actually, this was the first article that I read when I first started doing the research, and I started feeling quite hopeful, because I felt that there's even in the secular world, and I know even in these international institutions, there's such noble people that are doing such difficult work. So yeah, I don't know, Sebastian, if that kind of answers a little bit your question.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, I know that we coming to the close. I'll stop the conversation in the next 3 minutes to allow for meditation, and so that we could end this session with meditation. But are there any voices from the different countries who would like to say something, or even here? Oh yeah, I see Arti. Yeah, yes, Arti.
Namaskar, Guruji. Namaskar, everyone. Guruji, when you were talking a short while ago, you used a word that you have used countless times before, which was co-create. And I heard that differently. It was quite impactful for me. So co-creating as opposed to creating. So it's about the co-creating with the universe, co-creating with each other, the whole idea of the social consciousness, rather than me or any one of us trying to impose our view on things. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Co-creating with the universe, or co-creating with the divine. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. I like to use the idea of co-creation. So even if we come into meditation, we are co-creating a field. The idea is that consciously or unconsciously, we influence each other. And when we can consciously do that and direct the energy in a particular direction, we can really create wonders in our world. Yeah, Dr. Uluka, so that will be the last voice we'll hear for this morning. Raluka, Dianaji.
Namaskar, everyone. Namaskar, Guruji. So I just want to thank you for this beautiful conference. And at the beginning of the session, I was so, bubble and enthusiastic. And then something drove me inside of me. And I listened to everyone, and I recognized everyone in myself, in my heart. I'm totally there with everyone, and I feel this unity inside of me. I feel the shy and the love of chanting of Radha, and I feel the enthusiasm and the passion of Jenny, and I feel the youth and the willness and the maturity of Aridev, and also I feel the joy of Shivaji, and I recognize that even though I was in Vrindavan just once in the forest, I want to be there. I am there. So it is inside of me. It is inside in every cell, and it is inside my soul. So it is my destiny. This is my karma, and I will do everything to stay aligned with you and with the universe. And we will do also everything that we can to be a little spark of center of the light in Romania, in the forest, somewhere with forest and land and permaculture.
We will.
So this is the will right now.
We will, the energy. It's going to grow.
Yes,
and
it's
in
in
the
my
years
heart.
ahead, I'm very focused on that global satellite centers that we can create across the world. I'm very focused on that. And here we can have a training ground for that.
Thank you so much, Guruji.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I'm just going to take a minute to the washroom, and then we come back for our meditation, our final meditation of the day. So I'll be here in 5 minutes. We'll be ready. Thank you, everyone, and welcome back. So we're going to begin our meditation now. Let's sit in a posture that is comfortable. And let's come into that field of oneness, oneness of being. Our bodies may be different, but the consciousness is one. Let's center there. One consciousness. Our minds actually exist in each other. It's a holographic principle that we exist in each other. Our minds exist in each other. We have a universal mind. And we have a universal heart, a cosmic heart. One love. That's why we resonate when we go deep within, with one love, one peace, one consciousness. Join me as we chant Om Namah Shivaya before meditation. And let this bring us together. Shiva Let's come into the silence. Just center in that place of oneness that we are. Joining our hearts together to synergize one heart. The loving heart of the divine, the compassionate heart, the kind heart. Come into a still mind, observing the entirety of being, just so contented in being that there is no compulsion to think. Feeling the fulfillment that is there in the peace. Feeling that together we are larger. And even as you go deeper in the consciousness and coming more into one consciousness, an expanded consciousness, a cosmic consciousness, we experience the body with great appreciation of the value of it. We have taken human birth for a purpose, a life purpose. Let's appreciate the gift of this human life. Understanding that the body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. Let's hold every body cell in our love. And as we connect to the consciousness of this body, let's know the body is a part of nature. Let us expand our consciousness to hold all of nature as an extension of our physical bodies. And spread our light, our love, in the consciousness of one life, one world, one heart, one mind, one being. And stay with me in this space as you observe the moving breath of life. As you breathe in and breathe out, bringing life to the body, sustaining life in the body, do it with love and appreciation. If a mantra comes to mind and it strengthens the mind, let it hold you in the present moment as it resonates in the mind. If no mantra comes, then enjoy the beauty of a still mind. Stay with me in the stillness as we co-create a world of one love, one peace, one consciousness. Thank you, everyone. I hope that you've been nourished by the meditation. And we're going to close today with the Blue Star song. So I want to just bring up the Blue Star song so everybody can see what it is. I want to read this for you. Yeah. So this was created way down in the 90s, I think. By Reena, who is Ved's mother, and Deva, and of course myself being a part of it. Deva turned it into a song with the melody. And so we worked on this together, Deva and Anandi. So here you can join us together as we sing the song. Come hear the song of joy that we sing. Come share the secret that God is within. Peace, love, and joy you'll all find within. Finding this treasure, let's joyfully sing. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. Let a blue star take us to the self deep within. Let us make the journey as we seek God within. Surrender the ego, be at peace with yourself. Discover the truth, the self is divine. Fear, worry, and pain will all disappear when we realize the self is everywhere. That's unity consciousness. Let's share with the world the secret we have found. The love from within is the love of God. Let's light up the world with the light from within, a light that is brighter than 1,000 suns. Let's follow the star with its guiding light, leading us to God, our true destiny. Let's tell it to all, far and wide, from God we have come, and to God we return. So this is the Blue Star song, everyone. Let's joyfully sing. Come hear the song of joy that we sing. Come share the secret, God is within. Peace, love, and joy you will all find within. Finding this treasure, let's joyfully sing. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. Let the blue star take us to the south deep within. Let us make the journey as we seek God within. Let the blue star take secret we have found, the love from within. It's the love of God. Light up the world with a light from within, a light that is brighter than 1,000 suns. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. Let the blue star take us to the south deep within. Let us make a journey as we seek God within. Let the blue star take us to the south deep within. Let us make a journey as we seek God within. Let's follow the star with its guiding light, leading us to God on true destiny. Let's tell it to all, far and wide. God we have come, and to God we return. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. We can make a difference in the world where we live. Let us make it brighter with the love from within. Let the blue star take us to the south deep within. Let us make a journey as we seek God within. Let the blue star take us to the south deep within. Let us make a journey as we seek God within. Let us make a journey as we seek God within. Seek God within. Seek God within. Thank you everyone for joining in. What a marvelous 7 days this has been. And this continues. It's not the end of something, but the beginning of something. I'm feeling this seventh year at the end of the planet is also defining for me because it takes the mission into a whole new level. So the global connection is going to be greater, and the field is going to become important, and the one consciousness is going to be important, and taking the Blue Star principles into the world in a social context, co-creating a better world is going to be important. So thank you for joining me over these days, and we look forward to the celebration of the birth anniversary of this body on Wednesday. So I'll be there in the Guru Gita on Wednesday morning, and of course we'll meet in the afternoon at 4 Trinidad's time, where we'll have the celebration of this birth anniversary. And thank you for all your prayers for me, for the mission. All your support to me and the mission means a lot to me. And as I said, this is not my mission. This is our mission. And this is every one of you who is a part of this thing, who resonates with it, is part of it. We are born for this. We are one family. We came together for one reason, and it's to create a difference, to light up the world, as the song said. A light that is brighter than 1,000 suns. Nothing is going to stop us. Nothing is going to stop the Blue Star. It's going to continue to grow across the Yuga. So thank you for being a part of the Blue Star. And as you see, The blue star is only a vehicle for self-transformation and world transformation. Let's make it happen, everyone. Thank you for your support today. Namaskar. And here is where we close the retreat. I look forward to seeing you in the days ahead. Namaskar.